Hi again, everybody. We are now just 6 days away from that total solar eclipse, and yesterday I broke down the difference between a lunar and a solar eclipse, and today I'll be talking about the different types of solar eclipses. Now you can see a total or a partial eclipse, but there's also an annular and a hybrid eclipse. So total, just like the name implies, the moon is going to totally obscure the sun's light. A lot like what you see here in the background, you're just going to see that halo during the time of totality. And a partial eclipse, a lot like what the name implies. The moon only covers a part of the sun. Now an annular, that's a little bit different. The moon totally moves in front of the sun, but sometimes, relatively speaking, the moon looks smaller or larger depending on its elliptical orbit. So sometimes it may pass completely in front of the sun, but relatively speaking, it looks a little bit smaller, so it can't completely obscure the sun like it would during a total eclipse. And then a hybrid is one where it starts as one type and ends as another. So next week, we're treated to a total solar eclipse. And what does that mean? Well, we've got our three planets here in syzygy, and a penumbra, or a partial shadow, is what the moon will cast on the Earth's surface. A small section of the Earth is going to be under that partial shadow, or the partial eclipse. And then a select few get to be under this cone shadow. This is the full shadow, or where the area of totality will be, that total obscuring of the sun. And that's just in this small cone. So if we zoom in a little bit, you can see how this looks. The moon casts a shadow on the Earth's surface, and it's going to end up just being about 50 to 70 miles wide during any total solar eclipse on the Earth's surface. So for us in the US, this is kind of how it's going to look. From the moon casting that shadow, just a little tiny portion of the United States is going to be under the path of totality. So select few get to see the total solar eclipse for a couple minutes next week. The rest of us in the US at least treated to a partial solar eclipse next week. So I'll have more details on what you can expect where in the United States, but here's your next fun fact. Every 1,000 years, there are 840 partial solar eclipses. There are also 791 annular eclipses, 635 total eclipses, about 2 to 4 every year. So they're not, relatively speaking, rare, but it is for exactly where you're standing. You're only treated to one about every 100 years or so, and about 114 hybrid eclipses. So that's breaking down the different types of eclipses that you can see from the Earth's surface. Again, just 6 days away from a total solar eclipse in the United States.